Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 3rd of April, 2025, and we're broadcasting for the most confused, dumb, manipulated, and brainwashed nation on the face of the planet, trying to undo all the mess that the legacy media did. Guess what, media? You won't be trusted anymore. Lie after lie after lie. Anyway, yeah, it's Thursday. We're the day past hump day, and I hope you got pump day. I don't even know where to start, folks. I really don't. It's a real clown show. It really is. What better way to start the show? I mean, seriously, I just, my jaw is still open just watching all the stuff that's going on all over the country and all over the world, indeed. It's just, I don't know, common sense has become illegal. For a lot of people, it's becoming impossible, and I just don't understand why. Well, yeah, I kind of do. I'm not surprised. We as Americans in this country, we have been manipulated and gaslit and lied to and propagandized and you name it. And you couple that with the Department of Education doing a splendid job of dumbing down the American people for decades. And that's something I was screaming about a long time ago, and I've got an analogy. I'll repeat it. Why not? If you've got somebody that you're going to hire for a one-year contract, at the end of the year, you review their performance and you either renew the contract because they're doing the job you want, or you cancel the contract and send them packing. Well, if you apply that to the Department of Education, going all the way back 45 years-ish, and you look at the Department of Education, when they came into existence, the United States was number one, top of the list, best education in the whole world. And now, 45 years down the road, we're at the very bottom of the list. So you have to ask the question, if the Department of Education is doing the job the government wants, don't you think they will rehire them? Of course. So the whole point of this is that the DOE is doing exactly what the government wants. Dumb down the American population. And now we've got a couple of generations, 2 or 3 generations, that can't find their ass with both hands. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I mean, there's a lot of good kids. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making a blatant generalization, a blanket statement. But the overwhelming majority of kids being graduated from high school can't read past a 5th grade level. And forget about math. They can't do math. So anyway, that's the whole point. And this is, I think, why we've got the problems that we've got right now, is because we got a couple of generations that they're incapable of cognitive thought, of critical thinking. They just can't do it. And you know what? It's not their fault. It's not their fault. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this country. A lot of people are all messed up, and it's not their fault. They're victims. They're absolute victims. Back in 95, when I started my talk radio career, one of the issues that I brought forward was the issue about food additives and plastics. Food additives like atrazine, bisphenol A, and as far as the plastics in the environment, well, there are things called prions that leak from the plastic into the foods, and all of the things I just mentioned have a very serious effect on your hormones. Do a search. All you got to do, people, okay, well, I don't believe you. Well, do your own search. All you got to do is open up a search bar, put in, for example, bisphenol A and hormones. Push enter. And then have a nice read. Same thing with atrazine. Atrazine, hormones. Do a search. Have a nice read. Do another search. Prions, Prions, hormones. Do a search. Have a nice read. And then turn the clock back about 30 years. And this is the stuff that was in our food then. And I asked the question, what's going to happen in a generation or two if we don't get this crap out of our food and out of our environment? Well, now look what we've got. We got people out there that identify as possums. This is just nuts. But I got to tell you, this is one of the things, when I brought this stuff up years ago, and I've told you folks, your regular listeners, I come from a background of music and theater and writers, et cetera, et cetera. I spent my formative years in New York City. I spent a lot of my summers and then eventually my high school years in Provincetown, Massachusetts. There were writers and actors and, all kinds of musicians, artsy-fartsy people, no problem. No problem whatsoever. And a lot of them were gay. No problem. But as soon as I started talking about atrazine and prions and bisphenol A, Dave, you're a homophobe. No, not at all. The bottom line here is that all of us, every single one of us, are all screaming about what's in our water, fluoride, et cetera, et cetera. People are screaming about what they're spraying us with the chemtrails. Yes, they are chemtrails. You think that they're contrails, raise your hand, slap yourself with it. Yes, there is all kinds of stuff in those chemtrails. And, of course, aluminum is a major component in there. And, by the way, that's also in a lot of the, I don't want to say the V word, the pokey thingy. Okay? Can't say that. Not in a free country. No. But, all this stuff affects your hormones. It affects your intellectual capabilities. And this is all being done deliberately. It's like George Carlin said, the powers that be, they don't want a population capable of critical thinking. They want people that are just smart enough to be able to follow orders and get the labor done and push the paperwork. So, that's just the way it is. So, I was screaming about this stuff years and years ago. I was being accused of being a homophobe, and that's certainly not the case. But the bottom line here is that, a lot of people in the gay community are waking up. I've got friends who are gay, and they're now starting to take a look at the fringe groups, the extreme groups that are pushing, all the extreme side of the gay community. As a matter of fact, there was a British woman, a British woman who posted the following, and she is one of many, many, many people who are of the gay community, and they are condemning the extreme militant faction within that group. Matter of fact, here, give it a listen.
This is a message from an OG lesbian. The acronym LGBTQ+ is not a representation of a united community, but the strategic force teaming of the LGB with the TQ+ that serves a dark agenda to rebrand sexual fetishes and disorders as sexual orientations. For what was once a legitimate civil rights movement, gay rights, has been hijacked quite literally by the TQ+ and used as a Trojan horse to mainstream their degeneracy. First, we have the untouchable Ts, the trans cult, who want to sterilise children with puberty blockers, turn all homosexuals into surgical simulations of straight people, and destroy women's rights to enable men's fetishes. Then we have the Qs, young men feminised by sissy porn, furries and pups who fetishise bestiality, and even adult babies who fetishise infancy are all accepted and protected by the rainbow umbrella that magically transforms all scrutiny into bigotry. But the thing that requires the most scrutiny is the unspecified plus at the end, a placeholder for what's coming next. MAPS, or minor attracted people, a euphemism that is already being used to describe pedophiles who are waiting in the wings for their time to shine. Because the LGBTQ+ sexual psyop is not about promoting tolerance of diversity. It's about grooming society to accept depravity. And as an L, I renounce all association with it and the LGBs who are accessories to the fact. And I urge you to do the same and join the movement for LGB without the TQ+, because we need to divorce people and we need it stat.
Bingo. And she's voicing an opinion that is echoing across many of the gay communities across this country. And I have to say, right after the election, of course, there were a lot of folks out there saying, "Oh, we're gay, we're going to lose our gay rights, and we're going to lose our ability to marry, and we're going to lose all." You're not going to lose any of that stuff. You know, I mean, Trump even had gay weddings at Mar-a-Lago. So anybody who's telling the gay community that because Trump's in office, you're going to lose your gay rights, no, that's not happening. But you are being gaslit once again. And there are lots and lots and lots of gays out there that see what's going on and saying, "Hey, wait a second, it's the old saying, you give them an inch and they'll take a mile." Well, that's what's been happening with the extreme activist side of the LGBTQ plus and the rainbow flags and all that. You know, I mean, you get to a certain point and you say, that is enough. I don't want to hear this anymore. Huh. Whereas, I hate when that happens, doggone it. One of these days we'll get it right. We don't need indoctrination. We don't need no thought control. No rainbow flags hung in the classroom, requiring pronouns has to go. Hey, drag queens, leave those kids alone. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. I know it. You're so brainwashed, you're just a brick in the wall. I'm sorry, but if the shoe fits, folks, I mean, seriously, this is why so many conservatives are getting upset. And I remember getting into a conversation, I wouldn't say a heated, but definitely an animated conversation about 5 years ago when this whole drag queen story time thing started to happen, you know, in libraries and schools around. And you know, again, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but I mean, that's adult entertainment. So go and entertain the adults. Go to an assisted living complex or a nursing home or something like that, but leave the kids alone, because if you don't, you're going to stir up a big hornet's nest with the conservatives in this country. And that's exactly what has happened. And unfortunately, there's a lot of innocent gays out there. Like I said, I'm not condemning all the gays, just like I don't condemn all the Jews for the atrocities and the insanity that's going on over there in Israel. And I'll get to that in a couple minutes. But the bottom line here is that I'm reaching out with an open hand and not a clenched fist to the gay community. Say, folks, you got to get in contact with these extremists in your group and say, tell them to back off, because what they're doing is they're going to destroy gay rights and they're going to set everybody back 50 years. We didn't have this problem, you know. When I was a kid, when I was a younger man, you know, I used to watch the Hollywood Squares and Paul Lynde was the center square. He was funny as heck. And he was gay. No problem. And then there was Richard Simmons. He's gay. No problem. There was Liberace. He was gay. No problem. So all this stuff has come about in the past decade. And it's the result of, like I said, the extreme in that particular group. And like I said, right after Trump got elected, there were a lot of people saying, oh, he's going to go after the gays and all that. And there were one after another posts on social media of gay people who were saying, hey, Trump is not going to do this. And if you guys don't back down, you're going to ruin it for everybody else. And that's true. And the same thing could be said about the DEI issue here. You know, again, I remind you, Martin Luther King said, you know, we should be paying attention to the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Hear, hear, MLK. But DEI is exactly the opposite. And, you know, it's setting back women's rights a half a century. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because everything, like I said, it's like a clown show. Everything is bass-ackwards. And as people are becoming more and more aware of what's going on, you know, in the political climate in this country and how the left has gone absolutely bat crap crazy, more and more people are starting to come around and say, look, I was wrong. And that's, you know, that shows a sign of strength. You know, a lot of people don't like to admit that they were wrong about something. And I understand that, you know, ego and pride play a major role in that. but it's not a bad thing to be wrong once in a while. It's an opportunity for growth. But there are more liberals out there that are starting to realize the hypocrisy and the insanity of the Democrat Liberal Party. And as a result, we got people that are coming forward and saying this.
If you could give President Trump, or if you were able to talk to President Trump tonight, what would you like him to know?
I would like to say, Mr. President, I am so sorry for believing the lies that the mainstream media has just projected on me and that I fell for and I believed. I stand by you. I love you. I thank you for what you're doing for this country, and I'm so sorry that I just took it for granted and I did not even see it. But I do see it now, and you have one more supporter standing beside you and praying for you.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Lots of Democrats, especially, 3 weeks ago when President Trump had his joint address to Congress, and we all know what happened. You know, that the other side, the left side of the room, they wouldn't stand up for anything. They wouldn't stand up for Laken Riley's parents. They wouldn't stand up for the 13-year-old kid who had brain cancer. They wouldn't stand up for the young man who'd been accepted at West Point. They wouldn't stand up for anything except for more money to Ukraine, and we all know what that's all about. But, and like I said, more and more people are getting really ticked off because of the incredible hypocrisy that's coming out of the left. Trump, like I said, he could come up with a cure for cancer and the Democrats would condemn him for it because Orange Man bad. Now, here's another liberal who is done. She's done, and I had to do some serious editing on this because when I say she's done, she was effing done. Here it is.
213 Democrats voted no on no tax on Social Security and no tax on overtime. These are the same people that claim to be for the middle class and for the lower income people. Any Democrat that is still backing these motherfuckers up, I have no fucking words. Like, I do actually. I have words. Go back to school, because the education they gave you taught you fucking nothing. You cannot claim to be a Democrat and be okay with that. I'm sorry, you can't. You're basically saying, yeah, the more I work, the more they should take. You're okay paying half your fucking income to a government that is wasting your fucking income and literally stealing it and putting it back in their fucking bank account. I say let the Democrats have whatever the fuck they want, and then what the Republicans are for, let us have. Let's just, if we're going to really go our separate ways, let's just fucking do it. Do it right. Because I'm done with the stupidity. And that's exactly what it is. It's fucking stupidity. You claim to be for something, and then you vote against it.
Idiocy. Okay, and I apologize if some of those got through. But that's just, a reflection of the frustration of a lot of people who were liberal Democrats, but now they're starting to see the absolute, irrefutable, undeniable, pharmaceutical-grade hypocrisy that's coming from the left. I mean, who in their right mind would want the government to rip you off? Seriously. There are people out there that are so upset with Elon Musk and his efforts with Doge, and they're screaming, we didn't elect Elon Musk. We got to take him down, take him out, whatever they want to say. But the bottom line here is that they simply forget that Musk was side by side with Trump last summer before the election, and that was on the table. Trump was saying, if I get elected, I'm going to work with Elon Musk, and we're going to clean up all the corruption and the theft that's going on in America. And we all know it's been going on for years. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Demopublican. We've all known that it's been going on for a long time. But because it was Trump, no, we can't have that because the legacy media has brainwashed the overwhelming majority of Americans who are consuming the intellectual fecal matter and ending up with stuff for brains, and they're out there militantly screaming against Trump simply because the media told them Orange Man bad. And we didn't vote for Elon Musk. Well, I lined it all up yesterday. Guess what, campers? You didn't vote for Tony Fauci. You didn't vote for Bill Gates. You didn't vote for George Soros. You didn't vote for Charles Schwab. You didn't vote for the World Economic Forum. You didn't vote for the WHO. You didn't vote for the CDC. You didn't even vote for Kamala Harris in the primaries. And you're screaming that Trump's going to ruin democracy? What are you smoking? I don't know. Maybe you should smoke it. Maybe that'll bring your brain around. But I mean, this has been going on for a long, long time. Hey, look, if I'm off the rails, if I'm crazy, folks, somebody got to call me up and straighten me out. As a matter of fact, I'll open up the phone lines right now. I challenge you. I challenge you to give me a call. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-867-8255. And like I said, this has been going on for a long, long time. Here's a partial clip from the movie Network. For those of you who saw it, and this is worth repeating. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen that movie, I highly suggest you see that. Almost a half a century ago, the story was about a network anchorman who was having a nervous breakdown, and he showed up like 1 minute before he was due to go live on the air nationwide, and he walks into the studio. He came in from the rain. He's dripping wet. He looks like hell. And he sits down in front of the camera, and here's what he says.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore.
Yeah.
We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone.
Good.
I want you to get mad.
Me too.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
What do we do, Howard?
So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That's right. Now, the thing is, it's going to take a whole lot more than everybody just standing up and saying, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. We have to get active. This is supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people. But how does this government function if most of the people have gotten up from the table and walked away and left the cheaters there to play the game? That's exactly what's happened.
Oh, I can't fight City Hall. I'm only one person.
What can I do? You've been hearing all that stuff all your life, and it's simply emasculated you. And speaking of emasculation, have you ever noticed on the television shows, how many, shall we say, non-masculine men are out there? You ever watch The Big Bang Theory? I mean, it's a funny show, I got to say. It is. They got some good writers on that show. But, I mean, look at the male influence there, the masculinity, or, lack there is of. All right, I tell you what, let's take a call here. All right, why not? Came right in there. Hi there. Who are we talking to, and where are you? Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Is it me?
There we go. Say it again, please. I got it.
Oh my gosh, I got straight through. If you're hesitant about calling, they don't keep you on hold for a half an hour like terrestrial radio does.
Well, I got a little different setup here because when I'm on the air here and the phone rings, it goes right out on the air. So yeah, Anyway, who are we talking to and where are you calling from?
Oh, very good. Okay, this is Melissa in Maryland, and if I stump you, that's okay with me. You don't have to have a response right now.
Okay.
We can just deal with the question right now, and you can even tell me, give me 3 weeks to get back to you, and I can try to listen in 3 weeks when you're getting back.
Okay.
Anyway, I assume you don't have to tell me what it is, but I assume that you know about credit scores and what they are.
I know about what?
Credit scores and what they are.
Credit scores, yeah, okay.
Credit scores. Okay. All right, very good. And I'm not going to ask you what your credit score is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But credit unions and banks alike, it's okay if you think that a credit union operates far above a bank does. It's all right if you'd rather go to a credit union than a bank. It's okay if you think it's more ethical. But credit unions and banks both use credit scores. And there are 3, major credit bureaus that are used. And I don't know if one, is holier than thou. I'm not sure which is the most moral credit bureau.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, my issue with credit scores is, and I have tried to address this with my credit unions, and thus far it has fallen on deaf ears. What I am interested in knowing, and what I think would be fair, FAIR, is, because credit unions make lending decisions based upon your credit score, okay? And maybe other industries use credit scores too. Maybe the mortgage industry uses it. Maybe the insurance industry uses it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure how our credit scores are used, but they may be used above and beyond lending decisions, okay? And what I'm trying to find out is, maybe if you go to a used car dealer, they will use your credit score to, make decisions. So what I'm trying to find out is, and I have asked if there are websites that will tell you, not only give you your credit score, which is different than your credit report, 2 different things, but I'm trying to find out whether or not you can find out, like if you need to get your credit score improved by, say, 50 points, 50,
Mm-hmm.
how long that will take, like the time length, what you have to do in order to improve your credit score, just exactly what you have to do, and if it's something that you actually can do, okay? Because maybe they're expecting you to do something that you're just not going to be able to do to get your credit score up.
Well, I have to be honest. I have to be honest with you. I am not a financial guru by any sense of the means. I got myself out of debt, about 25, 30 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I don't have a credit card, nor will I ever get a credit card. I completely divorced myself from the whole system. I do have a bank account, but I don't use, I haven't had a loan. I don't do business with the banks. I just put my stuff there, what little that I've got, and I pull it out when I need it. But as far as credit scores and credit ratings and stuff like that, you're going to have to ask somebody else, because I am definitely not up to speed. Like I said, I divorced myself from that years and years ago.
Well, no, and I was going to ask you an effective way to address the situation, through the lawmaking process, because my position is that if we don't know how to increase our credit score, if we don't know how long it's going to take, and if it's not something that we can possibly do, then we shouldn't be subject to a credit score. And my position also is, I assume you know what a Green Beret is. My position is that you shouldn't have to be a Green Beret to have a good credit score. And, the credit scores have to be addressed because they are our cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
The credit scores, they impact how much we're going to pay for insurance, for loans, for whatever the credit score is used for. And if they're going to have that much of a role to play in our cost of living, then we need to know more about them than we do. They're kind of like a mystery, and we need to be able to address it and not be subject to them if things are not going to be disclosed and we cannot be a more active part of the process. But okay, who would you suggest I direct this to if you're not the right one to tackle it and play ball with it?
I would be absolutely clueless, to be quite honest with you. Like I said, I'm not into high finance. I don't mess with the stock market. I don't mess with bonds or anything like that. Like I said, I divorced myself from all that stuff, 25, 30 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. So you're going to have to bark up another tree, my dear. I'm sorry I can't help you with that one.
Okay, well, thanks anyway. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you for your listenership, and I hope to hear from you again. God bless you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, well, that reminds me, I might as well hit this button right here. Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now,
How many stations does this go?
Available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. And you can get More Tank if you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and you'll see the people who we're doing business with. And again, Get More Tank is stuff that really works, and if it didn't, I wouldn't have anything to do with it. I've been using it for about 8 months, and my car runs great, and I'm getting about 17% better mileage. So you'll get your money back on your first purchase. I guarantee you that. Get More Tank. And that's, again, at our website, TheWTFReports.com. And by the way, if you like coffee as much as I do, that's my first job. When I wake up in the morning, I get into the kitchen and I turn on the coffee maker, and then that's how I start my day. And I know a lot of you do too. Well, I'll tell you, it's real easy to go shopping and you go up and down the grocery aisles and pick out some of those generic coffees. But I got to tell you, they all taste the same to me now. I prefer something that's got a little bite to it, something that's, I drink my coffee black. And to be honest, I thought about giving up coffee years ago and doing it intravenously, but no, that didn't work. So, but anyway, I enjoy Blackout coffee. Blackout coffee has got some medium, light, and dark roasts. And they also have specialty coffees. They have cocoa, they have tea. In the summertime, iced coffee. I love iced coffee, and I don't usually take cream or milk in my coffee, but in the summertime, a little bit of sugar, a little drop of some cream or milk, that is really good stuff. And all of that is available at Blackout Coffee, which again is on our website, TheWTFReports.com. And they've got the Firearm Policy Coalition coffee. They also Second Amendment coffee, the No Compromise coffee. They've got all these different coffees, and they support our first responders, our men and women in uniform, and our police officers. And as far as I'm concerned, that's enough reason to do business with Blackout Coffee. So, yeah, go to our website and get yourself some Blackout Coffee. You won't be sorry. Anyway, I don't know which way to go at this point, but, history is repeating itself. And there are a couple of stories that I wanted to get to, and I'm trying to decide which one I need to go to first because, I know. Speaking of Elon Musk, before we got to the phone call there, it's not just the USAID that has been financially raping the American public, but it's also the USIP, United States International, I forget what it is now. But they found out all kinds of corruption with this organization. And here's a little audio clip from the disrespected trucker. Here it is.
Y'all remember when the United States Institute for Peace managed to delay for one day Doge coming in to investigate them? Well, we recently discovered what they did during that 24 hours. Well, the very first thing they did was delete an entire terabyte of data that linked them to payments to not only Taliban leaders, not only Iraqi leaders, but also leadership from Al-Qaeda. Now, thankfully, those kids that Doge has working for them, yeah, they're a little bit better with technology than the people at the Institute for Peace. And they were able to recover 99.9% of the data. So now we have a record of the United States Institute for Peace funding those 3 terrorist organizations. With your money. They also found that the management of the United States Institute for Peace, they were funneling money into a little slush fund they had. A fund that was mainly used for private events and private air travel. Can't have these people flying commercial. No, they were booking private planes. And to make sure this money avoided as much congressional oversight as possible, even though they had a full staff of accountants in the building, they were paying a private accountant $2.2 million to handle the outside money. And coincidentally, that accountant happened to be married to one of the board members.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And of course, all the liberals are losing their cookies because all of this is being exposed. Now, I guarantee you that if it had been the Biden-Harris administration, God help us if that had happened. What would have happened if Kamala had won the election last November? Oh, my word. I don't even want to think about that. But if she had been out there saying we have to stop all this corruption and all of this money laundering and all of this, grifting, all the liberals would be right behind her saying, yeah, you go, Kamala Harris. Be unburdened by what has not, whatever, unburdened by what has been, something like that. Yeah, they would be behind Kamala Harris 100%, but no, it's because it's Trump and it's going to be bad. And so that, the mainstream media is saying that he's going to take away your Social Security. No, he's protecting the Social Security. He's going to take away your Medicare. No, he's protecting the Medicare. He's basically pointing out that there are billions of dollars that are being paid out overseas from Medicare to people who don't deserve it. But anyway, like I said, if it had been under a Democratic administration, the libs would be right behind it. But no, you're so wrapped up in your politics, you've totally forgotten that it's not right versus left. It's right versus wrong. And both parties can be wrong. And very frequently, they both are, which is why I've been calling them out for years. I don't care if it's Republicans or Demopublicans. 2 wings of the same bird? Well, yes and no. Now, things have changed considerably over the past decade. And there are actual real patriots out there that are standing up for what is right and for standing up for the Constitution. But unfortunately, we got a lot of folks out there that have simply forgotten how we got here. And, there's folks like yours truly, fool that I am, screaming from the rooftops for all these years. Tried to warn you all those years ago, but you wouldn't listen. Well, that's okay. As a matter of fact, that was the title cut of my first album, Will Someone Listen? It came out, almost 30 years ago, 96. Anyway, enjoy.
It's been going on for year after year, and so many have shed many a tear. And when they sit down to cry, they never question or try to find an answer. That's the way it's been for oh so long, and you're so used to it you don't see what's wrong. It's in your history, and if you just look and see that it's repeating. When lawyers' litigation goes without examination, you can bet that it won't take very long. With rules and regulations and without representation, pretty soon you'll sing a slavery song. No, go ahead and go your own merry way, but I can tell you that you'll soon curse the day you were asleep at the wheel. You didn't know what was real. You'll learn the hard way. how can you get someone to hear when their ears are filled with self-imposed fear? If there's a voice in the crowd that shouts a message out loud, will someone listen? How can you get someone to see when they can't bring themselves to turn off TV? If someone turns on a light, will others join in the fight or turn a blind eye? When your country's education doesn't teach about your nation, how your family fought so hard to be free, it creates a situation and promotes perpetuation of a people who will live on their knees. No, go ahead and go your own merry way, but I can tell you that you'll soon curse the day you were asleep at the wheel. You didn't care what was real. You'll learn the hard way. When your country's education doesn't teach about your nation, how your family fought so hard to be free, it creates a situation and promotes perpetuation of a people who will live on their knees. No, go ahead and go your own merry way, but I can tell you that you'll soon curse the day you've been asleep at the wheel. You didn't care what was real. You'll learn the hard way. Will someone listen or turn a blind eye?
And I'm asking the same question. Will someone listen? I'm asking it today. Yesterday, I was a little bit on a rant because I get so frustrated with the right-wingers, with the conservatives, who basically, I understand the philosophy. I just want to go along to get along. I don't want to make any waves. I don't want to tell anybody else what to do. I just want to live my life in peace and have my rights, and that's that. I understand that. But if you don't defend yourself, you know, who was it? Thomas Jefferson said a couple of interesting things. He said the tree of liberty must occasionally be nourished with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Think about that for a little bit. He also, let me see, oh gosh, I had the first one that came to mind, and I can't remember which one it was. But the point is though, it requires that we all tend the garden. There you go. The tree, you know, our freedoms, our liberties, our rights, there were seeds that were planted in a garden by our founding fathers. Now, this garden occasionally has to be watered. It has to be tended to. It has to be weeded out once in a while. And for too many decades, too many people have just let this garden go. They don't want to get involved, et cetera, et cetera. But it's time to roll up our sleeves, and we got a lot of work to do, folks. We have got to get busy, let our voices be heard. Because, you know, the extreme, far left liberals, man, they are totally activated out there. Plus, they've got a lot of funding coming from George Soros and other organizations, NGOs. You know, they got lots of money to throw around, lots of money to hire big buses and bus people in, lots of money to buy posters and cards, and lots of money to pay people to show up for these protests. Well, that means we conservatives, you know, we don't have that kind of backing. That means we got to do it ourselves. You know, so we're going to have to do it ourselves. And by the way, I want to remind you that there is an organization that's coming up. They're organizing nationwide protests. As a matter of fact, they've got somebody posted this. I will play this. Let me see. Where is it? Here it is. Check this out. There's a website out there. It's handsoff2025.com. Handsoff2025.com. And somebody posted this on social media to promote it. Here it is.
April 5th, hundreds and thousands of people in America are going to rise up against Donald Trump. It will be the biggest day of national protest against Trump since he took office. And I'm talking about every single inch of the nation will be rising up. It's not organized by the Democrats or the Democratic establishment. This is people volunteering to put on protests in their area and just going to do it. It's people organized. All the information about April 5 and the movement is going to be on handsoff2025.com. Be able to find the closest protest near you on the website as well. Make sure you share and amplify this and get out in the street on April 5th. Join the hundreds and thousands of people across this nation that are going to stand up against Trump.
Okay, so I went to that website. I suggest you do so too. And you will see that indeed there are, you just type in your location, whatever city is closest to you, and you can see that there are demonstrations that are planned for this Saturday. And excuse me, and I was saying yesterday, of course, all these liberal Democrats, they don't know what they're talking about. They are completely brainwashed by the legacy media. They're swallowing all the intellectual fecal matter, and they're drinking liberally from the blue fire hose of blue Kool-Aid. And they're so misinformed, and unfortunately, they got huge numbers behind them. So I was suggesting yesterday that conservatives might want to take note of these locations. Now, I'm not saying that there should be any confrontation. Absolutely not, because that's exactly what the powers that be want. Okay? But I can't help but notice over the past several weeks, all of these demonstrations at the Tesla dealerships, this take down Tesla movement that's going on, and all of the vandalism, and all of the, shall I say, terrorism that's going on with incendiary devices and fires and stuff like that. Well, I am not advocating any of that, but I can't help but notice that people who are at these dealerships to protest Tesla, on the other side of the street, there are probably anywhere between 3 to 5 times the number of people who were supporting Elon Musk and Tesla and President Trump. So I want to be very careful about this. I am not advocating that there's going to be any conflict, because that's what the powers that be want. However, I know where there's going to be a protest in my area. I am going to drive down and check it out. I'm just going to drive by. I'm just going to, look at it and smile and just, see what's going on. And, I would suggest that conservatives do that too. And if you want to scream something out the window, you're welcome to it. But I really don't want to see any type of confrontation going on, because, again, this is exactly what the powers that be want. But again, we need to get off of our butts and get involved, because if they can do it, we sure as heck should be doing it. Anyway, that said, and I also want to be clear about this, I am not 100% on board with Trump. I am not a Trump-tard. There are a lot of people out there that, Trump, he's my president, do or die, I'm with him 100%. I'm sorry, I can't be on his side 100%. Remember a month ago, he paraded out Larry Ellison. And Larry Ellison, oh gosh, he wants to have complete and total nationwide surveillance. Whoa, what did you say? Yeah, that's what he wants. He also wants to design I can't say that word. He wants to design a pokey thing that is based upon your personal DNA. That's right, campers. They want to take a sample of your spit and analyze your DNA and then design a pokey just for you. I'm sorry. No. We're not going to do that mRNA stuff. No. So, those are 2 huge marks against the Trump policies that I have. And then, of course, the other one, and this is probably the biggest of all, is his undying support for the maniacs who have taken over Israel. Now, I'm not screaming about the Jews, because a lot of the Jews are against Bibi Netanyahu as well. Okay, we all know now, it's called the noticing. People are noticing all over the country, and indeed all over the world, what's been going on in Israel, and we've been sold a bill of goods. And now they want to make it illegal that you can't protest against Zionism. Wait a minute. That's completely different than Judaism. Judaism is a religion. Zionism is political dogma. And for those of you who don't understand what Zionism is, the Balfour Declaration was declared that they would create a Zionist state of Israel for the Jews. Okay? So Zionism means you design a state or an area specifically for a particular group of people. So, if you apply that to the United States, let's say we were going to have the Zionist United States of America. All right, so you pick a state, let's say Oregon, okay? If you're Catholic, You get to move to Oregon because Oregon is going to be the Oregon Catholic state, the Zionist Catholic state of Oregon. So if you're Catholic, you can move to Oregon, and if you're not Catholic, you have to leave Oregon, and you have to leave everything you own behind. Your house, your possessions, everything. Just walk away and let the Catholics go in there and take it over. And if you protest, they get to kill you. Okay? That's what Zionism is. And if you speak out against that, they're now trying to link that to like I said, anti-Semitism. And that in itself is kind of crazy because now it's all coming out that 97.5% of the Israelis have no indigenous blood whatsoever. They are not the Semites. Most of them came from Eastern Europe and North America. They did the same genetic study. By the way, it was Johns Hopkins University. They did the same genetic study on the Palestinians and found 80% of them are the Semites. So that means, and this sounds crazy, but that's what it boils down to, that the Israelis are the anti-Semites. And those who are standing with Israel are anti-Semites. Everything is bass-ackwards. So, this whole thing, let me see if I can find it. Here, this, in the UN, they were talking about Hamas. Now, of course, Israel is saying that they have to destroy Hamas. They, have to get rid of Hamas. And for that reason, they have justified putting snipers out and killing women and children. But guess what? Where did Hamas come from? It was created back in the early 2000s by Bibi Netanyahu. And even the UN has acknowledged that Hamas is part of Israel. Here's this from the UN.
By the way, just a few months ago, Israeli leaders were reported saying that Hamas was an asset to Israel.
Hamas is an asset of Israel. It's been that way since day one. And yet we've been sold a bill of goods that, of course, Hamas, it was created. Even Ron Paul on the congressional floor back in the 2000s, he basically spelled it out. He said Hamas was a creation of Israel because they wanted it to go against Hezbollah. So now it's the old boogeyman issue. You got to have a boogeyman. So they justify destroying, murdering, genociding, exterminating all the Palestinians because Hamas is in there. Isn't that special? Anyway, there's so many more things I wanted to get to. This hour goes by so quickly. Anyway, if you're enjoying the broadcast, and I know this wackadoodle here can go off the rails a few times, but that's why I use music and common sense and sometimes a little comedy to help, a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. If you're enjoying the broadcast, I certainly hope you are enjoying it. But let us know. Visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and let us know what you're thinking. So, and do business with our sponsors as well. I mean, that helps us to keep the lights on. And also, we're looking to expand this broadcast, turn it into a podcast, and we want to get up there on BitChute and on Rumble and a bunch of other platforms, and it all costs money. So please do business with the WTF Reports, and we'll definitely appreciate that. Anyway, that said, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen this weekend, but like I said, we got to keep our head on a swivel because a lot of warnings have been going out about, possible, shall we say, civil unrest going on this weekend. But anyway, I certainly hope not, but we'll have to see what's going to happen, folks. Anyway, that said, we're done with the Thursday edition. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF Reports. And if you're enjoying the broadcast, spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell your family. We got to get ourselves together. We have to join hands. We have to work hard. All right, that's it. I'm out of here for today. And I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless you all. Stay safe. And above all, stay free. God bless you all.
There's no place to run. See the faces turn white as the people unite. Watch the roaches take